Joanne was asking about what is mindfulness. And I think we're talking about it in terms of our ability to get sort of, should I say, control or a handle on our thoughts. Uh, so mindfulness is sort of a technique, and some people would say, where we're learning to be in the present moment. So being in the present moment is something where we can look at our five senses. We can look around the room and see what we see, and as we do things like that, we try to pay attention to some of the details. Like I see a lamp right in front of me, and I can look at the grain of the wood and the curvature of the lamp, and there's a lamp shade in it, and it sort of has a pattern to it, and then I can see the light shining through the lamp shade, and then I can look up around and see how the light from the lamp is emanating from the lamp in different ways because of the light shade. It sort of has some different angles to it and different brightness and things like that. So you see what I did there, though, as I got into the details of what I saw. I love things like drawing too, where you draw what you see. That can bring you into even further detail. And mindfulness can use all the five senses. So in the case of tinnitus, you can try just listening to what you can hear besides the tinnitus, and see if you can tune in on some of those things. Like right now, it's there's a gentle breeze outside. I've got the window open, and a car just went over the speed breaker or something like that. There's a little chatter in the background. There's kind of I think there's like an interstate, a highway, maybe a ways away, but it kind of has a little bit of a constant sound to it. There's a car starting, I heard. So you see, and then you can do the same thing with smell and taste. Sometimes you can do those together. You can smell something and then taste it. Maybe prepare a couple of things ahead of time, some chocolate, or and you just kind of smell it, taste it, and maybe swirl something around in your mouth and see how it tastes. I always like touch, just noticing the sensations you have in your body, like when you're sitting on the chair, you have your butt on the chair and your feet on the floor, maybe, or maybe you're lying on the bed and you can feel your back on the bed. And you even think about some of the details and the different places on your body where you feel something. Maybe you feel warmth, or you feel a breeze, or you feel an itch, or you feel a little pain. All those things you can notice. Maybe there's some place on your body that suddenly has a little bit of a sensation for no reason. I get that sometimes, just a little itch or a tingle. I suddenly notice something. I'm not sure what that is, but I think we all have that sometimes. But you see how I'm just sort of getting into some different, the five senses and the details of that. And what that does is it sort of gets you in the present moment of thinking about what's happening right now. And that's mindfulness. Because when we have problems like depression or anxiety, usually anxiety is expressed itself in the sense that you feel like a lack of control. You feel like there's something bad that's happening, or something bad that's going to happen, and you feel a need to keep thinking about what to do. And so mindfulness can help you to just stop doing that for a moment, and you can practice doing it. It's just a form of meditation where you can practice doing this mindfulness, and you can kind of get your thoughts onto something else, and that can help relieve the anxiety, because you go from thinking about whatever that repetitive thought you have in your brain is that makes you anxious, to thinking about what you see, what you smell, what you taste, feel, and what's the one I'm missing? Hear. So, and then mindfulness is also good for depression. People feel a sense of hopelessness. They feel maybe a sense of shame in some way. They feel like they can't be whole. There's just no hope. And again, those are thoughts. Those are thoughts that people are having. And we're trying to learn to replace some of the thought patterns that we have with something else. And mindfulness just happens to be one technique for interrupting those thoughts and getting in the habit of changing those thoughts. I think a little bit of a longer term solution is just getting into something. What I did during COVID, which is when I got the worst I've ever been in my life, I drew a lot of things. I got some colored pens and colored pencils and some other little things to use to draw with, the right kind of paper and some erasers and things like that. And I followed tutorials online on how to draw. I was not very good at drawing. Even now, I don't think I'm that great, but I'm a little better than I was. But I would do that, if you imagine following a tutorial or seeing something, and then trying to copy it. You have to get involved in the shape of this little duck's head and the shape of its body and drawing the wing and keeping everything in perspective. And maybe it has some water there with little ducks as well. And it just gets you into a mindful state where you're thinking about doing that task. So I like that. Even, mindfulness itself is fine where you're just thinking about the five senses, but something where you have to use that. I got into studying a language. So I've been doing this for quite some time, but I write Chinese characters, and it's actually something that brings about progress. So I love finding things that you can do where you have to be mindful. In this case, a lot of times I copy what I see in Chinese, but I know what I'm writing. I can even write things on my own now, but I did a lot of copying to learn Chinese. And this is just a mindful thing. And some things like this lead to progress. And progress is something that also helps the brain to feel more at ease. It feels like it gives the brain something to think about. Oh, okay, I'm getting better at Chinese. What can I do to get even better? And then I'm going to draw characters. I'm going to sing songs. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to try to read books. I'm going to watch tutorials online. There's a whole slew of things I could do to improve my Chinese, and then the mind gets really into that wavelength of learning this thing, and you can find your own thing that you want to learn. But you see what I mean? It's like it just creates new pathways in your mind. So the mindfulness, I think, is great when you're in a really tough state and you just can't get out of it. You're really stuck. And just in general, it can be a nice just way to relax a little bit. And then, maybe you can then, in addition, add some activities where you're learning a skill and you're progressing, and that can take away the hopelessness feeling too. By feeling like, oh, I'm hopeful toward being able to speak Chinese better. So okay, so that's my answer about hopelessness. No, not hopelessness. About mindfulness. So let's replace hopelessness with mindfulness, right? Okay, well, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.